So, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. This is episode number 68. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and thanks for tuning in. This week's episode is on Good Friday, so let's jump straight on in. So, yes, hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. Hope you're all doing well, and if you're in the UK, obviously, good chance that you're probably having an extended weekend this weekend, with it being Easter and all. Hence, the name of this video this week is Good Friday. It is Easter Friday, Good Friday. All looking forward to the weekend ahead, hopefully. If you're working, then have a great weekend in work. If you're not, enjoy what I think we've got a little bit of sun coming out in the UK here, which is novel and interesting. So anyway, let's jump on in with the show then. So a few bits and pieces, an uber list of updates from Azure this week. So we'll get through those as quickly as possible. But first, let's do a few community call-outs. So, to start off with this week, Azure Lowlands is an event that's being held over in the Netherlands on the 30th of June. So, you can get your tickets. They've announced the keynote speakers. We've got the awesome Paula, April, and Dylan giving 3 keynote speeches across that event. So, yeah, be sure to get your tickets. It is a paid-for event on the 30th of June over in the Netherlands. It's an in-person event, and it's also got an online event. So if you are interested, go and drop those, go and get your tickets, I guess. There's a whole plethora of speakers. Like we said, we've got 3 keynote speakers for the event already. I'm not sure exactly where we are. There we go. We've got a lot of known names across the community. If you're in the community already, you'll see that there's a massive amount of awesome people, awesome folks speaking at the event. So go and get your ticket if you're interested and go and show some support. So onwards and upwards to the Azure Cloud Native family. So thanks to Carl for tweeting this out. Their next event is going to be on the 10th of May at 8 p.m. UTC +1. We have got Nathan Yellin. He's going to join the Cloud Native folk to talk about Robusta and how we can use it in the Azure Cloud Native space. So go and get yourselves RSVP'd up to that Tuesday, the 10th of May, and show some support. So yeah, thanks, Carl, for that. In other news, April tweeted this out the other day about Terrafy, which is really cool, actually. So it's using the Azure API and Terraform effectively to regenerate a Terraform state file, which is something that has been welcome for a long time, to be honest. In terms of if you've inherited an Azure subscription or some resources in a resource group and you use Terraform heavily in your organization, then you can actually run Terrafy with a simple command here. So it's AZTFY. Name your resource group, give them your resource group. Obviously, you'd log on to your subscription to begin with, and it will generate the HCL formatted Terraform file. So obviously, you can have a first pass of that file. You could retweak that. You could replace some, hard-coded static names for variables if you wanted to. But fundamentally, it'll generate that first pass of Terraform HCL formatted Terraform files that you can actually use then as part of your state file to actually run a Terraform plan, just to make sure that state file generated actually matches the infrastructure, which is cool, and it's fantastic to see that we're getting somewhere on that front as well now. So that will open out a whole new realm of possibilities with Terraform, undoubtedly. So looking forward to getting stuck in with that and having a little play with that myself. So yeah, thanks for April for retweeting that out. Look forward to seeing that. Jürgen has got another Pluralsight course out. So if you are into Cosmos DB using EF Course 6, go and check that out. That is live on Pluralsight at the moment. If you have got a Pluralsight license, then great. Jürgen always produces some quality courseware. I followed his courses on the AZ220 track with a few of the other folk across the community. Fantastic courses. Go and check that out, especially if it is something that you're looking to get into with Cosmos DB. So thanks for that, Jürgen. And finally, on the community call out this week, my good friend Jack Roper is celebrating his 100th blog post. So I know he's been doing some fantastic things across the community for the last, year, 18 months, I guess, at least now. And he's always generating some top quality infrastructure as code, DevOps related information on his blog. So yeah, big shout out. Head on over to jackwesleyrooper.medium.com. Go and check out his blog articles, and congratulations on reaching the 100th post. Let's get back over to my big face. If I can. Okie dokie, there we go. There's our community call out this week. Shorter than usual. Like I say, because it's been on the lead up to Easter, I think lots of people have been on holiday. Community seems to be a little bit quieter this week. So, I can expect that with things getting back to this semi-normal that we're all experiencing at the moment. So anyhow, onwards to the next section, the Welsh Azure user group. Just to reiterate, our next event is next Wednesday, the 20th of April. So if you are looking to come to that, please do RSVP. We've got two fantastic speakers coming to join us. Mr. Keith Atherton is going to come on and talk to us about how we prepare to take some Microsoft certification. So really looking forward to that with hints and tips, and really what you can expect from that position of, sitting your first exam. Maybe you're a seasoned veteran but just haven't sat one for a while. Come along, join in, see what Keith has got to say on the subject matter. I'm sure it's going to be insightful as ever. Anyway, Keith's a fantastic guy across the community. Come and show some support. And also we've got Anthony Mashford. So Anthony was a guest last week on my In Conversation With show. Anthony's again doing some fantastic stuff across the community, doing some great talks and speaking events and things like that. He's working at NetApp at the moment, and he's coming along to talk to us about deploying enterprise file storage on demand within Azure. So that's our April event, April 20th. We will be starting at 6:30 p.m. BST. Come and join us. Look for our Twitter handle at Welsh Azure. Find the link to the meetup page, come and RSVP, and come and say hello. That would be awesome. Okie dokie. And the final kind of part of this first bit before we get into the Azure news and updates is Jonnychipz on the side. So what have I been up to this week? So first off, like I say, Anthony Mashford was my guest last week on In Convo With. If you missed that episode, please do check it out in the playlist below. Great conversation about careers, working your way through maybe a non-traditional career path into technology, and what that's like. Kind of fantastic chat with Anthony about that last week. Like I say, go and check that out. That would be awesome. But it is Friday, so Friday we've got another episode being released, and it's with none other than Mr. Jim Bennett. So Jim is currently working at Microsoft. He's one of the developer relations team, looking after the regional reactor hubs, if you like, over in Seattle, so on the west coast of the US. Jim is massively into AI and IoT, and he's always doing some absolutely fantastic content across the community. So really privileged, and it was a great conversation I had with Jim. Must admit I had some audio issues for the first 10 minutes or so, but managed to spot them and get them rectified after about 10 minutes. So apologies, there's a slight echo on Jim's mic for the first 10 minutes, but bear with. It's listenable. It's just a bit frustrating that I get these updates on my setup and they knock a certain parameter offline and I forget to check it. But hey, operator error as always. So anyhow, that's tonight, 6:30 p.m. BST. Jim will be joining me on the next episode of In Conversation With. In other news, as it's a Friday, I've also got this episode of when Ops Meets Dev. Episode 2 is being live streamed tonight at 4:30 p.m. So just before the In Conversation With. So 5 p.m. BST. We're joining at 4:30. We'll be streaming from 5 p.m. So 5 to 6 we've got When Ops Meets Dev, and we are in the midst of developing a cloud native e-commerce solution in a containerized microservices application that we're looking to deploy into an Azure cloud platform. So we're kind of trial and testing various different methods of setting up infrastructure, whether it be through code or IAC or scripting, and then deploying our microservices containers anyway. There's a continuation tonight from 5 p.m. BST. Come and join us. It will be live, so any questions, throw in the chat and we'll try and answer them there and then, or if not, we'll get back to them on the next episode. So yeah, looking forward to that tonight. And finally, this time last week, I was actually in the midst of sitting another exam. So the AZ 801 exam, which earned me this Windows Server Hybrid Administrator badge, which I was chuffed to beans with getting actually, because the 800 and the 801 exams, the AZ 800, 801, are a lot closer to the old server certification, if you remember, that Microsoft used to have. They've moved it into kind of 2 exams now, effectively, which is looking at all the traditional Windows Server technologies and how to configure and manage them, essentially. Things like AD, DNS, DHCP, clustering, all that good stuff, and that's all across 2 exams. And of course, the 801 is around that hybrid compute. So how do we then think about hooking that up with things like Azure and maybe migrating to Azure, maybe monitoring from Azure, those kind of things. So there's a whole plethora of information to study for that exam. So I was really chuffed to get that one ticked off the list. So that's what I've been up to this week. Okie dokie. So without further ado, we've had a lot of updates this week in terms of the Azure news. So I think I will get through them as quickly as possible. We've probably got about 25, 30 updates. So without further ado, let's get on with it. And good afternoon and welcome to this week's Azure News and Updates. Okay, like I said there in the first part, there have been a whole plethora of updates this week on the Azure platform. So without further ado, let's kick off and let's get on with it then. So GA, DNS reservations to prevent subdomain takeover in cloud service deployments. So Microsoft being a cloud platform integrated with data services, advanced analytics and developer tools and services. So that when we build on it or we move or migrate any assets to Azure, we can provide a secure, consistent application platform to run those workloads on. So basically, to strengthen our security posture, what Microsoft have done is they've rolled out DNS reservations to prevent any subdomain takeovers in those deployments that you might have put in there. So if you don't know what a subdomain takeover is, it can enable malicious actors to redirect traffic intended for a particular domain over to a site performing a bit of an untoward activity effectively. So things like losing control of your entire subdomain, cookie harvesting from unsuspecting visitors, phishing campaigns, that kind of stuff. So basically, have a look at the DNS reservation feature in the cloud services, to kind of prevent that subdomain takeover. That's interesting to see. So I'm going to take a little look into that. Next up, generally available glossary terms in Azure, Purview data catalog search. So in the Azure Purview data catalog, I can't speak again. I can never speak on a Friday. The business glossary provides definitions, synonyms, and acronyms to different terms used throughout an organization. Glossary terms can be tagged to assets and assist end users in understanding how and why data is used. That's cool. That's good to see. Next up, GA, Azure Databricks Delta Live tables. Another GA, custom application text labels in Azure IoT Central. Good to see the changes going on there. GA, service tag support for user-defined routing. Okay, that's interesting. So we can now specify a service tag as the address prefix parameter in a user-defined route for your route table. And you can choose from, obviously, tags representing over 70 Microsoft and Azure services to simplify and consolidate route creation and maintenance. Good to see. GA, Azure Sphere OS version 22.04. GA, migrate devices across templates at scale in IoT, Azure IoT Central. Cool. Public preview, recommended alert rules for virtual machines. So the Azure portal experience now allows you to easily enable a set of recommended and out-of-the-box set of alert rules for your Azure resources. Currently in preview for virtual machines, you can simply enable a set of best practice alert rules on an unmonitored VM with just a few clicks. So be looking into that. That's cool to see. Public preview redesign of alert summary, the landing page. So I think in line with what we've just said there, Microsoft have redefining a new landing or launching a new summary landing page, showing the most important information up front and simplifying terminology. Good to see. Public preview is your monitor activity log insights. We've got GA new result set grid in Azure Monitor Log Analytics. A GA Java 17 and Tomcat 10 on Azure App Service. So if you are using those technologies and languages. Public preview, so support for Windows clients using Azure Monitor Agent. So the AMA, Azure Monitor Agent, and data collection rules are the two components that you need to define now to monitor the vast majority of things. You've got the agent, you define a set of data collection rules. Now support Windows 10 and 11 client devices via the new Windows MSI installer launched in public preview a couple of days ago. So you can extend the use of the same agent for telemetry and security management using Sentinel across your service and device landscape. So there is some steps there to how to define that. That's good to see. Public preview, manage identities support in Azure Container Apps. Awesome. GA IBM WebSphere on Azure with evaluation licensing has gone GA. Public preview, Visual Studio Code extension for the Azure Container Apps. Awesome. Public preview, Visual Studio support for Azure Container Apps. Absolutely good to see. We got public preview, health probe support in Azure Container Apps. And we got metrics and alert support in Azure Container Apps as well. And Azure static web app support, so for private endpoints. So that's interesting then. So that's gone GA, Azure static web app support for private endpoints. It's great to see every week now Microsoft are onboarding another service with private endpoint or private link or things like that. It's just such a vast changing world that we're in at the moment. It's great to see. Public preview, Azure Monitor Agent supports custom and IIS logs. Public preview is your SQL database hyperscale reverse migration to general purpose tier. Azure SQL public preview updates. There's a few there, so we can create and utilize Active Directory, Azure Active Directory server principles in the master of a SQL database, and we can backup history. Dynamic management view is now available. That's in public preview. GA zone redundancy for Azure SQL database general purpose tier. And public preview is your Cosmos DB API for MongoDB unique index reindexing. General availability, Azure Cosmos DB autoscale entry point is 4 times lower. We got Azure SQL migration extension for Azure Data Studio, and finally in development, Azure Media Services low latency live streaming. That's cool. So Azure Media Services announcing the preview of low latency live streaming. This offers glass-to-glass latency as low as 3 seconds with any player capable of supporting Apple's low latency specification, the LLHLS. With low latency in the 3 to 7 second range, you can build a variety of interactive applications that allow you to engage seamlessly with your audiences at scale. Awesome. Good to see. So there we go. There's our Azure news and updates for this week. Okay, and that's it for this week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic weekend wherever you are in the world. My name's been John Lund. This has been Azure news and updates, as well as my Jonnychipz weekly show, episode number 68. Still going with these shows. So please do like, subscribe, comment below if you enjoy these shows. But for now, thanks for watching. Tune in later on this evening for the live stream of When Ops Meets Dev and the In Convo With episode with Jen Bennett. Until then, I will see you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.